Hey there everybody, Eric from Outer Limitless coming at you today with another video. Now, I don't usually cover knives on Outer Limitless 2. I pretty much reserve that for my primary Outer Limitless channel. However, with Outer Limitless 2 being more of the tactical sort of angle on the gear that I'm trying to cover, I'm turning the corner a little bit, pushing some of the more tactical knives into Outer Limitless 2. Now, here in my hands, this is the Night Stalker from T.Kell knives. A cool little fixed blade that's more on the self-defense and I would say sort of concealed angle. So typically for me, and if you've been watching my channel, you realize I'm sort of into the outdoor hard use fixed blades, more for survival, more for, I would say, fire prep and fire craft. But today, we're going to look at this cool little fixed blade. Now, T.Kell, Tim Kell, real cool guy. I have come to greatly appreciate his work. So what we're going to do, we're going to take a look at this Night Stalker in detail. I'm going to show you how you can find Tim's knives because these are gaining popularity and he's got some really cool stuff in the works that I think you're going to like. And so this is going to be a little bit more of a tabletop versus use video of this Night Stalker. But with that said, I have a whole bunch to do and a whole bunch to share with you. And if you're interested in seeing a little bit more about what I'm about to get into, do me a favor, stay tuned. So yes, T.Kell knives, and specifically here in my hands, this is the Night Stalker. Now, I do have to get a couple of things out of the way. First and foremost, I have covered T.Kell products in the past. I had the opportunity to cover Tim at Blade Show down in Atlanta, and that was for 2021. And then after that, I got my hands on this Bushman, which is really cool. So this cool little, like, sort of, it's weird because it's a thin, slimline knife, but at the same time, like hard use fixed blade, which is just so cool. So that's the first thing. And second is, I wouldn't have known about Tcal knives at all if it wasn't for one of my subscribers. So each chance I get, I got to say thank you very much to Flash Force, who reached out and said, hey man, you got to check this guy out because he's up and coming, fantastic maker, and it meets my style literally perfectly. And yes, it does. So thank you very much to my subscriber for putting me onto TKell designs. But again, not so much about the past, more about moving forward. Again, here, the Night Stalker. So this is a neat little blade. Now, T.Kell knives leverages 1095, which to me is an awesome choice for pretty much any knife. Doesn't matter what you're doing with it. 1095 is tried and true. It's understood. And when people can nail the heat treat and when people can nail the design, 1095 is going to be an awesome choice. So I have no problem with the choice on 1095. It's a steel that I just personally trust like continuously forever. So having something in 1095 to me, that's definitely sweet. Now this blade is roughly in the 3¼ inch range. Generally speaking, a nice size blade for typical general tasks. You could actually do a whole bunch with this. You could use this as an EDC, which I think is a perfect place for this. It definitely has quality utility purpose. You can see here has a nice refined point on the front of it. So the stock thickness here, I would say, is a little bit thicker than maybe 1/8 of an inch. I'll get my calipers on this shortly. And then on top, which is really nice, it has this unsharpened swedge. So you end up with a real refined tip, yet at the same time, good overall strength. Now, as you get a look at this blade, take a look at the finish. You might not really understand exactly what's going on here. However, if you are a firearms owner, you may be a little bit familiar with nickel boron coatings. That is often used as a coating for certain firearms components to really help with, and I'm going to call it like lubricity. So lubrication, how smooth and how like just easy to move and slide certain components are. But in this case, it's actually the coating on this blade. Now, the interesting thing about nickel boron coating is it's quote-unquote self-lubricating. So in other words, you don't really need to add oils, or you don't need to add other coatings or anything like that. This finish is extremely durable, first off. Very, very durable. And in fact, when you look at my original Bushman here, take a look at this. This has been pounded through all kinds of crazy wood and logs, and no real notable damage. I mean, are there a couple of scratches on here? Sure, but the finish held up amazing. And even on the spine, where I was doing some significant scraping work, no problem. And that's kind of what I'm trying to say. This nickel boron finish is extremely durable. It's going to help to protect the blade, and amongst other things, it just looks really good. It kind of gives it that little bit of a brassy look, which I think is fantastic. It's different from other finishes. It has a definite purpose. T.Kell thinking outside the box and nailing it on this. Now on the handle, this has roughly a 3-inch handle with, call it, about a 1-inch pinky hole. So here you can see a 4-fingered grip. So a full 4-finger grip, and definitely plenty long for my large size hands. This knife indexes extremely well. I mean, it just sits in. You can see here my index finger, literally, and when you say index, well, hitting that indexing point has a little bit of an indexing choil here. So getting right in there. And then the rest of my fingers falling nicely into place. So between my middle finger and my ring finger, the perfect amount of space right there. And then my pinky right into that hole. So this is going to be a little bit large, which is good. So depending on the size of your fingers, you're going to have no problem. And it gives you a good positive grip. On the back side here, you can see sort of like a little bit of a, I'd call that maybe a non-lethal pawl on the back there. So that's just that little like pommel end there and the ability to strike. So that's definitely cool. And it's all rounded out. So when this is on your body, it's not going to snag, it's not going to poke into you, but it still has a little bit of function. Now, as you're looking, you can notice that the grip itself, this one here in G10, this is sort of like a gunmetal, which I like. I forget if he calls this gunmetal or battleship. I will annotate below. But this particular color here, just beautiful with layers of sort of a bluish gray and then black. Just so nicely done. But take a look closer. You'll see that this does have what Tim calls the grenade grip. Now, he developed this specifically for, yes, additional purchase on the knife. However, more specifically, exactly where your fingers are going to land. This grip is made specifically to give you the perfect traction right where you need it so that you get good positive lockup, and it's actually strategically placed so that it really lands exactly where you need it. So again, Tcal designs, very intuitive, very wise, very well thought through, and that's definitely the case here with the Night Stalker. And so one last thing worth pointing out about the indexing and grip, well, as you look here and I grip the knife, my thumb literally landing so perfect right on top of that little ramp. So again, just a great ergonomic feel, set up perfectly. You can tell that, you know, Tim just sits there and just plays with his hand geometry and just tries to find those perfect little spots, and you can see there's like no missing this. There's no like picking it up and being in the wrong spot. It's just right there, the positive lockup, that nice guard. So you end up with not only a positive lockup, but the guard on the bottom, the ramp on the top. So as you're stabbing or plunging, there's no real concern about slipping, and then couple that with the fact that you're locked in on that ring. I mean, there is no doubt in my mind that if you had to use this for a self-defense or piercing situation, you'd be in really good shape. Now, of course, you can get into reverse grips. So as you flip the knife over, and really at this point you can see I'm indexing that ring more for my index finger. Again, your pinky's going to get into that choil up against the guard. At that point, you're not really so much leveraging the ramp. However, for my hands, the meat of my hand actually is kind of sitting right in there like a pocket. So as you can see, that's perfect. And this is rounded out and softened enough over the top. Every edge just perfectly finished so that there are no hot spots. That's not going to hurt. It's not going to chew me up or cause any damage. I've seen knives in the past where that's left a little bit hot, but not on this one. Rounded out beautifully. And a good positive lockup again for those stabbing tasks. You're going to have no problem, and that's going to work out mighty nice. Going back to this Bushman real quick, as you look here and you look over the top of the spine, you'll notice that this doesn't have like any patterns. It's really smooth. It's kind of like sanded, almost like flush to the scales, and just nothing worth noting. I mean, not a problem. I'm just pointing out that when you look at this Night Stalker, well, man, this just catches my attention. It's just beautiful. It has a really cool look. Just look at the way that spine has been finished off all the way around the knife. I love the way this looks. It's beautiful. It's just finished off so cool. I love it. It's almost like an aged look in a way, and I'll be honest, I don't know what that's called. I'll just call it awesome. Really nicely done. So the Night Stalker here, just beautiful. All the little details, the fit and finish is fantastic. And for a smaller knife, I just feel good about this being on my belt. It's stylish, it's functional, it's really cool, and I've been holding off on carrying this and using it to demonstrate it on this video. I've had it in my possession for actually a couple of months at this point, and man, I cannot wait to put this on my belt as my EDC. Now, I do want to talk about T.Kell's sheaths real quick. Tim has worked hard at the development of his sheaths. They're a little unorthodox, so as you look at it, you're like, well, wait a minute, what's going on? Is it upside down? Is it backwards? What exactly is going on? Well, Tim has worked really hard at maintaining the lowest possible profile on his sheaths to make sure that it's concealable, to make sure that it has the overall retention, but at the same time, like no drag, no snag, nothing getting in the way, no binding, and that's exactly what you get here with the Night Stalker sheath. So the fold over is interestingly here on the bottom. Now, I'm not gonna spoil anything. This is for T.Kell, but what I can tell you is he is working on a brand new design that takes all of this sort of to the next level. I'll leave that up to him, but just be watching out. If you like what you see here, just keep an eye on what he's doing with his sheaths. It's really cool. But in this particular case here, very simple. They fold over, sort of taco style, almost reverse of what you're used to seeing, but at the same time, very functional. On the back here, this has this multi-position clip. Now, this one here happens to be in the scout carry position. There's really no other way for this to go, but this is how I ordered it. You can get adapter pieces from Tcal, and you can order it that way to allow this to go in multiple positions, including vertical, canted at 45. There's a number of different things you can do. For me, I just wanted this on my belt. I wanted it sort of scout style, cross draw, weak side, reach across with my right hand, get on the knife, and pull it out. So for me, this was the optimum. I really didn't need anything other than that, although I guess in hindsight, you never know what you're gonna do, and I probably should have got the adapter, but not a big deal. A very nice sheath, and again, I'm gonna give you one last time, the lock up inside and the retention. A nice positive click. So no rattle, no moving around. The retention on Tim's sheaths are ridiculous. I could carry this vertical, no problem, upside down. It's never gonna fall out. If you're into something like you want it on the strap of a pack, this is an awesome, awesome knife for that purpose. Literally, get that clip, put it around the strap on your pack, carry it inverted on your shoulder, weak side, reach up, pull out the knife, on the trails or while you're out on a mission or whatever you got to do. Just an awesome option. So this could go on a number of different pieces of equipment. It could go on your belt. You could carry it concealed. You could have it ready to go. Just a real nice option. So it made me think, and I'm curious, I just had this concept for me. I'm curious what you guys think about this. Let's turn the corner a little bit and I'll show you my idea. So here I have my Mossberg 590 Thunder Ranch Edition. The fore end here does come with this rail, so you can see it has a pick rail. I have my weapon light mounted, and on this side, this is going to be on my right hand side, which, yes, granted, is my trigger finger, yet at the same time, I'm thinking last ditch self-defense. Well, I said, what if I could take this T.Kell knife and mount it onto the side of my fore end to allow me to access the knife in a home self-defense, like last-ditch effort or need to grab a blade type of scenario. So, working with Mark at Extreme Edge Custom Kydex, we actually did make a mountable sheath here, which I think is pretty cool. So, getting this mounted onto the side of the actual firearm, you can see here this is a matching Kydex. So this is Kuyu Vias, which is the color of the rust of this firearm. So matching it in on the side here. I do have this little pick adapter, which I'm just going to bolt together, get it clamped into place, and sort of show you how this works out. And so here you can see on the front pump of my shotgun, here I have the Night Stalker mounted in this sheath. Now, again, can I use the firearm? Well, no problem. I can get right on this. It's not interfering. My hand slides perfectly underneath, which I think is cool. But if I got into a situation where I had a last-ditch effort and I just needed to actually draw the knife, I just have to sort of slide my hand to make sure I'm not cutting myself, reach up, pull this out, no problem, and I have my little self-defense knife. Now, is this practical? Is there a real need or reason for this? I don't know. Weigh in the comments below. Again, you'll hear me say this time and time again on my channel. I just like to play. I like to experiment. I like to learn. I like to figure out what works and doesn't work and try things and answer the question how and why. So that's what this is. It's just me thinking outside the box a little bit, trying to have fun with my firearms, find ways to use them, get them set up in maybe practical ways. Maybe not. Did it hurt anything? I have a real nice second sheath for my T.Kell Night Stalker, so no problem. And I think this is just something that it adds a little functionality. I could practice with it. I could try it out. And bottom line is, if I did get into a home self-defense situation, I'd be pretty happy to have this little knife in this package with everything I need. And so again, this sheath here was made by Mark Irving of Extreme Edge Custom Kydex. He is who I use for my knife sheaths. So he's a great Kydex maker. If you're in the need for a quality aftermarket sheath, definitely check out Mark Irving at Extreme Edge Custom Kydex. And so last but not least, let's just say you're like, well, this is all good, but I don't really like that grenade grip. Well, to each their own, totally understood. And what if you wanted a different material? Well, you definitely get that option as well. So here you can see there are plenty of other options. So this one here, this is a really nice sort of gray micarta. So it seems to be, I don't know if I would call that probably a canvas micarta. Has a little bit of a rough texture to it, but at the same time smooth, which is really cool. So we're gonna get these bolted up real quick so you can see what this looks like. Of course, very simple to remove the scales. Tim uses these oversized bolts, which I like. They're stylish, but they're also functional. Yeah, of course, there's like the mechanical connection piece. I'm not really that foolish, but the nice thing and why Tim uses these exact bolts is how deep they go into that recess. So you'll see here, the recessed bolts, real deep, real wide, and that means that there's a lot of surface area pinching everything down. There's no real chance for the actual handle material to crack. So beyond just literally the mechanical connection bolting this together, they're oversized for that reason. So again, T.Kell really thinking, really trying to make a stout knife and something that is really going to tailor to the most people, which is awesome. And now that you see this without the scales, you could definitely rock this skeletonized. It's not going to be able to go in that particular sheath. You would probably have to get this custom kydexed. However, you could definitely do that. In fact, this feels just fine, no problem at all. So if you wanted to rock this skeletonized, you definitely could. And so here you go with the Micarta scales now on the fitment, literally perfect. This is just beautiful, awesome. I love it. Feels really good. That's a nice handle. Just so comfortable. That is, to me, just a nice EDC option. I think this screams a little more like EDC in wilderness to me than more of the like hard sort of, I don't know, tactical feel you get with the grenade grips. However, I mean, both very effective. I can tell you this is definitely a little more slick. You are going to potentially have a little more tendency to slide, and the knife can definitely roll around in your hands just a little bit easier. But at the same time, I mean, just beautiful. Look at how nicely these are done. Everything rounded, softened, just perfect. So no matter what you're getting from Tcal, you're getting quality. And so, all right, guys, there you have it. A look at the Tcal Night Stalker. Again, for me, just something that's a cool self-defense knife. Maybe put it in the class of EDC. You could definitely use this in the outdoor scenario. Very nicely done. Now, I do have a project coming up with TKell pretty soon that I think you're going to enjoy. I hope it all works out and proceeds as I planned, but so far things moving nicely. And as far as this Night Stalker, this now is something that I'm going to start to put to use. I don't know if I'm going to do a full field use video with this because, first off, if I'm planning on carrying it for that sort of self-defense purpose, I definitely don't have those skills. It's going to take some teaching and training and understanding. There's that whole piece. But beyond that, am I going to put this into hard outdoor wilderness use? Probably not. And do you want to watch me open up 5,000 boxes? That's useless. So this knife here for me, definitely going to come into my EDC rotation as my sort of EDC fixed blade. And if you like what you saw, do me a favor, take a look at my Outer Limitless channel, which is more on the outdoors and sort of hiking, camping, and backpacking genre. That is where I typically do my field use knife reviews. So if you like what you saw here on Outer Limitless 2, do me a favor and check me out on my primary channel, Outer Limitless. So all right, guys, thanks for stopping by. I hope you like what you saw. I hope you found it a little bit informative. If you like what you saw, please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for stopping by. Take care now. I'll see you soon.